Hello there. When I started running this summer, I sought out YouTube channels that pertain to running, whether that be in gearing or in training or in technique. And one of the channels I found that has since become a favorite is Seth James DeMoor. What sets him apart is that he is informative and entertaining, which is a rare combination. And today, DeMoor published a video on sleep and running, which piqued my interest even more than his videos normally do because I spent a lot of time studying sleep. As an undergraduate student, I took a course on sleep and dreams. And between my undergraduate and graduate studies, I've designed and conducted 2 different studies that pertain to sleep. And as a result of that, have spent dozens of hours in the scientific literature looking at sleep as a whole, and then as it pertained to my specific areas of interest. And so I was excited to see how something I'm very familiar with, sleep, pertains to something that I'm just becoming interested with, running. And so as I watched the video, I found it fairly confusing. And the primary issue is with terminology. So the words DeMoor is using to describe sleep are not the words that are used by the scientific community. And since it's giving me some confusion, I think it would be fair to say that it would cause confusion for people who are not familiar with sleep to an even greater extent. And so since sleep is an interesting topic, and I think DeMoor's video is going to cause some people to say, hey, that is interesting. I'll go research sleep. I think that terminology needs to be addressed. And while I'm in addressing the terminology, I'm also going to address 1 or 2 small errors in the information presented by DeMoor. And so to do this, I am going to be heading over to 2 different tables that I've pulled out of Lockley and Foster's Sleep, A Very Short Introduction. It's an excellent resource if you're just looking for a broad understanding of sleep, how our understanding of sleep has developed, what we use to study sleep. It's an inexpensive book, it's short, and it's easy to read. So I highly recommend it. But anyway, this first table talks about our classifications of sleep. And we'll stick to the old classification for now because it's what more of the literature has been based off of. So this first column is old classification. So we have non-REM sleep, and there are 4 different stages. So stages 1, 2, 3, and 4 of non-REM sleep. Then we have REM sleep, which is not assigned a number. And so looking at my notes, DeMoor claims that the first stage of sleep, stage 1 sleep, is REM sleep. And perhaps you can already see where the issue here lies, but that stage 1 sleep is already taken. REM sleep is not stage 1 sleep. REM sleep is just REM sleep. And so to call REM sleep stage 1 sleep is adding unnecessary confusion because you're combining a term that's used to describe very light non-REM sleep with a term that describes dreaming, that sort of dreaming sleep. And so that's the first issue I had. Though something he did say that went along with that was that you tend to see REM sleep within 90 minutes of falling asleep. That tends to be correct. If we look over here at this other table, this other image, we see that as we go through, and this is following the new terminology, but we have stages 1 down to 2, down to 3, down to 4, sorry, it's following the old terminology. But we get through to stage 4, so 1, 2, 3, 4, up, back to 3, then all the way into REM. And so that sleep cycle tends to occur within 90 minutes. They tend to be about 90 minutes long, though as the night goes on, they tend to get shorter so that there's less time between your stages of REM sleep. And this is the opposite of what DeMoor mentioned when he said REM sleep tended to happen earlier in the night. It actually happens more and more later in the night because the gap between it is getting shorter. And so you're having REM take up a greater proportion of your night as you get closer to waking up. All right. What else? Next issue comes with our other stages of sleep. So we'll back to this table. So DeMoor's talking about stage 2 is light sleep. Yes, it is light sleep. But his timing is strange. He said you expect this to happen around 2 hours in, but I mean, stage 2 sleep takes up about 45% of your night. So it's a lot. And if we look here, we go stage 1, 2. This 2, where we're in stage 2 sleep, happens before REM sleep. So it happens before 90 minutes. And then it happens again, probably right over here, and then here, and then here, and then here, and then here. And this is also stage 2. So stage 2 happens all over the place, and it happens, and again, sleep doesn't go from one thing to the next, so we don't spend the first hour in stage 1 and the next hour in stage 2 and the next hour in stage 3. We're cycling through, so we spend a little bit of time in 1, then down into 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, REM. And so we're cycling through. This part B here, where it goes awake, stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4, stage 2, REM, that repeats throughout the night. And you could have anywhere from, say, 3 to 6 of those cycles in a night, depending on how long you're asleep. And so that's an era of confusion that I've seen in DeMoor's video. The next thing is that when we get back to our terminology, stage 1 and 2 are light. 1 is super light. 2 is light but much deeper. When we get into stage 3 and 4 in the old terminology, or just stage 3 in the new terminology, we're talking about deep sleep. That's sort of restorative sleep. And DeMoor talks about this as stage 4 sleep occurring 5 or 6 hour mark of your night. And that's inaccurate. Stage 4 sleep does not happen late in your night. Your deep sleep tends to occur early in your night. And your dreaming REM sleep tends to occur later in your night. They both occur throughout, but the proportion of deep sleep decreases the longer you've been asleep, and the proportion of REM sleep increases the longer you've been asleep. If we go back and look, we can see here our deep sleep on this image of a 7-hour night only has deep sleep stage 3 and 4 here in the first cycle. It's not unusual for it to occur beyond that in the second, third, fourth cycle, but it is a smaller proportion of the time. And so that needed to be addressed as well. So overall, I really like DeMoor's videos. I think they're informative and they're useful. I just think that whatever source he was using for this presentation was off the mark, that their terminology was inaccurate and that their information was inaccurate, but that it was close-ish, that it's not entirely wrong, it's just far enough off the mark that if someone says, hey, that's really cool, let's go research it, having seen DeMoor's video is going to give them more confusion than they would need transferring into the scientific literature on that topic. And so hopefully this clears this up for some of you, and hopefully it makes your transition into understanding sleep easier. And until next time, cheers.